Hi, my name is Aaron Davis. Welcome to the Apostolic Review YouTube channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at Person of Interest by J. Warner Wallace. So I want to say off the bat that this is a book that I did purchase with my own money. It's one that I've been really excited to read for quite some time. And part of that comes from having read Cold Case Christianity, which is one of his earlier and probably his most well-known book. Cold Case Christianity is one of the books that's kind of behind the inspiration of the movie God's Not Dead Part 2.
Did you apply this skill set anytime outside of your official capacity?
Yes, I applied my expertise to the death of Jesus at the hands of the Romans, and I actually looked at the Gospels as I would any other set of forensic statements. Within a matter of months, I determined that the four Gospels, written from different perspectives, contained the eyewitness accounts about the life, ministry, death, and resurrection of Jesus.
So Wallace has a unique background. He was a cold case detective, and he's actually appeared on Dateline more than any other cold case homicide detective in history. And he's obviously a very well-known person in that arena. In fact, the book underneath his name, it says America's foremost cold case detective. And obviously his time on Dateline shows that as well. It gives him a unique approach when studying whether the gospel accounts were from eyewitnesses and how early or how late they were. And so because of his experience, he's able to look into these things in a way that no one that I've read has ever done before. And the unique aspect of this book is that he looks at the person of Jesus like he would look at a person of interest in a cold case. And so one of the things that he does is follows along in the book a cold case that he worked in his real professional life. It was a no-body homicide. And so he follows this case that he's working throughout the book from beginning to end. And as he goes along, he uses the things that he was doing in the cold case and the tactics that he was using to uncover the truth, and he was applying those to his study of the person of Jesus to see whether he was a person worthy of so much focus and attention in the world, obviously as the basis of Christianity. Okay, so as I'm editing this, I'm realizing that I forgot an important piece of information, and that is that before J. Warner Wallace was a Christian apologist, he was actually an atheist. And so he didn't even believe in Jesus, at least as a divine figure, didn't have any kind of background in Christianity. And so that prompted his look into him as a person of interest. And so it's just a little helpful as far as the context of the book is concerned to know that as the backstory. So I forgot, but now that you know, we'll get back to the review. So from the beginning, as it follows this cold case, Wallace talks about a fuse and a fallout. And essentially the concept behind this is that the fuse is kind of the preliminary things that are pointing towards a person of interest. That you see the like everything like leading up to the event. So in the case of a crime, it's all of the things that the person of interest was doing before the crime actually happened. And this fuse, it kind of follows a little timeline throughout the book, and a visual of a fuse that's kind of burning, and then boom, the explosion happens. In the case of the investigation, the murder happens, but in the case of studying Jesus, it's the person of Jesus, his earthly ministry, and everything that happened in that time. And then the fallout is what happens after. So what behaviors did the person of interest do? What about all of the other people that were around the victim? All of the other people that had any kind of, like neighbors and things like that. He looks at that from the perspective of the detective, but he looks at Jesus in the same way. So what were the disciples doing? What was happening in the culture at the time? What happened with the tomb and after the resurrection and all of these things. And the big point of comparison or parallel to a crime scene would be the investigation of all of the other people. What did the neighbors say? What did the family members say? What did old friends, high school friends, college friends, friends, what did those people say? Ex-girlfriends or ex-boyfriends, what do those people say? And in the same vein, Wallace looks at the culture. So he looks at the evidence of Jesus's life as it pertains to music, as it pertains to movies, as it pertains to literature, education, and all of these other aspects. One of my favorite chapters is the chapter titled In the Fullness of Time. And the reason that this particular one stands out to me is because it looks at where Jesus actually fell on the timeline of human history and how that impacted the way that the message was able to move. He talks about Rome and how Rome had conquered most of the then known world, and there was a development of roads and highway systems essentially, and really just kind of breaks that down into, if he had have come a lot earlier, there would have been less of a disbursement of the information. Not that it would have been impossible, but people weren't traveling as far and as widespread as they were at this particular time. And so because of the development and because of Rome's kind of conquering of that area, the message and the gospel and the historical accounts were able to travel quickly. Another interesting chapter talked about Jesus' influence in the music industry and how even artists that were not Christians or don't consider themselves, don't even claim to be Christians, still had songs that were inspired by or influenced in some way by Jesus. Johnny Cash, this includes Jerry Lee Lewis, Al Green, B.B. King, Simon and Garfunkel, Otis Redding, Joni Mitchell, Stevie Wonder, The Supremes, Kanye West, Nirvana, all of these different genres. You can see just by the name of some of these that it stretches far beyond genre or anything of that nature, and the influence is tremendous. And so some of these are very interesting. I did a talk recently at a conference at our church where I talked about music being created by God, and really music is one of the things that essentially was invented outside of earth, outside of the world that we live in. Most of the things that we enjoy or partake in here on earth were created here on earth, whether it was, the mountains and, everything that was created here, or whether it was entertainment things, it was all here. But music predates the creation of earth. And we know this because there's countless times in scripture where either visions into heaven or scriptures that talk about heaven, talk about angelic hosts, and describe this worship that's happening and the idea that we will join in heavenly courses. So this gives us the insight to the fact that music predated the creation of earth. And so we enjoy music here. And so because of that, my thesis on the topic was that all music is created for worship because it was created by God. Therefore, it was created for worship. And so all music is worship. Now, that could get controversial because not all music could be worshiping God. It could be worshiping other things. But the idea is that all music is worship. And so when you think about it from that perspective and you think about the original intention for music, then it's no shock or surprise that even someone that would seemingly be a person or an artist that you would never listen to because of the content of their songs, they could still be influenced in some way, shape, or form by the life of Jesus, and their music could show in some way, shape, or form like a footprint or a fingerprint of Jesus, because music was intended to be worship. And so that was a really interesting chapter for me because I love music. And so looking into the music industry and into the arts was very intriguing to me. So the big picture idea here is, what can we learn about Jesus that points us back to the Bible so that we can know him even more on an even deeper level? Are there ways that we can verify or acknowledge his existence outside of just the Bible? And the answer that J. Warner Wallace comes up with is yes. No other person in human history has had the impact that Jesus Christ has had on the world as a whole, religious or not. It's in our best interest to learn as much as we can about him and how he can change our life. And so I definitely recommend this book. You can pick it up on Amazon or anywhere that you get books. It's pretty mainstream, so you can find it just about anywhere. So thank you so much for checking out this review. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell so that you can be notified when we post new content. And of course, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and visit our website for more written reviews. And if you have any ideas of what you would like to see or what you would like for us to read, please let us know in the comments below. We'll be happy to take a look and consider reading your suggestions. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we will see you again soon.